this meeting to order for Waseca Public School Board. It's our regular meeting, Thursday, September 23rd, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. And we are in the central building, second floor conference room. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
We have a first and a second.
Madam Chair, we should add the dental rates on.
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to add dental to our accounts payable under payment of claims in the amount of $19,818.66. Can I get a second? Thank you. First and a second. So let's make a motion. Sorry. Any discussion on either of those? All right. So first, we'll approve the addition. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimous. And then we'll go back and approve the full agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. All right, I'll move on to recognition of visitors. We do have Ms. Zippel here to talk, but first I want to ask if anyone else in the audience wanted to talk during our public open forum. All right, and no emails from anyone?
No.
All right, then Ms. Zippel, please come on up, and she's here to talk about the FFA convention trip coming up in November. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ms. Zippel, Savannah Zippel is my full name. Kids call me Ms. Zippel. I am the FFA advisor and the agricultural education educator at Waseca. I'm here to talk today just a little bit about National FFA Convention and Expo. It is being held in person, but with certain safety protocols, of course, being in place, one of those being masks. We have a great group of kids that are ready to go for this year. The National FFA Convention and Expo is held in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it is quite an experience. So on the way down there, we will stop and do several tours. So we have a tour planned for Honeybee Farm. We have a tour planned for Fair Oaks Farm. We'll also be going to the Field of Dreams. So lots of educational experiences. The National Convention also includes a career expo, which is one of the largest career expos in the world. And it has a chance to engage with industry professionals. So there's a lot of different opportunities for students to engage in everything with welding and plasma cutting to animal science and Zotis, I don't know if you've heard of them, Culver's sponsors, all sorts of really great big industry names. Really good opportunity for students just to make those connections in the industry. And then along with the convention itself, we have some great guest speakers and motivational speakers that will be speaking. Really important to go this year because we actually have a student who is a national finalist in her Ag Science Fair project. So Carly Hamilton this year competed this previous spring with her Ag Science Fair project. She has made it to nationals before with the previous project, but this year she is doing a project on the public perception of hemp and the educational outreach that can be along with that. And she's worked with the local hemp producers. So kind of important to be there, and it's really just a great opportunity. Students call it one of the highlights of their high school career. So any questions that you guys have about it?
So you're sharing a bus with a number of other school districts?
Yeah, so we will be in the ag education realm, and FFA, we are split into different regions throughout the state. We are region number 7. So our region is made up of Waterville, Mankato, Blooming Prairie, Owatonna, Belle Plaine, all of those different schools. And so we'll be sharing a bus and splitting costs. It helps keep the costs quite low. Also really helps with organizational matters when it comes to booking hotel rooms and everything. So everything's all laid out and ready to go. Also got a whole bunch of teachers having your back. So lots of eyes watching the kids down there. And how many children are planning to go? So the applications are due tomorrow. So far I think I have 7 or 8 applications in right now.
What is the cost per student to go?
Cost per student is about $450.
Okay.
Students put $100 down payment down right away. They can use money from fruit sales. So I don't know if any of you have bought fruit before, but that's where a lot of that money goes. They can use money from fruit sales. The chapter itself has voted to donate $50, and then the students will also be asking our FFA alumni for $50 as well. So they have a chance to get quite a lot of it paid for if needed. Any other questions?
When I was in high school, we went to Kansas City, Missouri. Now, when did that get changed to Indianapolis?
I don't remember the exact change. It used to rotate between Kansas City, Indianapolis, and then Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. But Indianapolis, I know, put a bid in for the next 10 years. So the next 10 years it will be Indianapolis.
So, well, I was thinking it was over Thanksgiving.
That's okay.
Is this over Thanksgiving or is it October?
It's in October, end of October.
Okay, there's two different dates on here. So, I'm getting confused, but yes. Okay,
No,
it's
it's
October.
that's the schedule from the region, and they might have just updated the schedule last year to get a police outline.
Yeah.
So there might be a date, but it is the end of October. We'd be leaving on that Tuesday and coming back either late that Friday or Saturday morning.
I'll make a comment. I guess the rest of you, I have a nephew who was very involved in National FFA and had got a lot of good experiences and had a lot of good things to say about it, especially on the convention.
It's amazing and seeing kids how motivated they get when they come back from convention, not only for community service projects, but for leadership. I've had some students, it's a real motivator, and it's really cool to see. It's all 50 states plus the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. So one of the activities that we do when we're down there is they have to get a signature from every single state, because FFA, they have this states on their back. So they meet friends from all around the country, and they get to experience that as well.
Networking.
Yes, yes.
That sounds like a great opportunity. So,
Any other questions?
I'm excited.
I'm excited to go. The kids missed out last year because it was virtual, so it will be nice to be back.
awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Zibble did let me know that she's also available for questions for the outdoor classroom. Whether or not she sticks around tonight, but if you have questions about that later on, she was part of getting that project going also. So that is on the agenda for later. So, all right, if there's no other visitors who wish to speak, then we will move on. Mr. Freed, would you like to make a motion for our payment of claims?
Yes, I have reviewed the claim for the month of August and recommend action of the payment for accounts payable of $1,811,397.94. And also the payroll of $874,190.79.
Second. First and a second. And so that was accounts payable that we had on the agenda plus the addition of dental.
That's right.
Perfect, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve our consent agenda.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. All right, we'll move on then to our information items and begin with our superintendent report.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Being board, as we move through the beginning of our school year, it's great to be here and have students back in our buildings and enjoying what school is supposed to look like here as we get into the 2021-22 school year. My report tonight really has two parts that both are relatively brief, but I think they're very pertinent to what we have going on right now. As we move back to the school year, activities are progressing smoothly. Students are competing, performing. We had the Classic this last weekend, which was really exciting for students to be able to be out and about and enjoying the community in that way. Our enrollment is settling in a little bit. Elizabeth will speak to that a little bit in her report here. But we've had a lot of movement in the last 3 to 4 weeks. It seemed like there was a lot of movement in late August and early September as to what students were going to be enrolling, whether they were not. And so to October 1 also, because I think the September 1 gives us a picture of where we were a few weeks ago, but there's just been a significant number of in and out in the last few weeks as students moved up to that first day of school and then those first few weeks of school. I would say that we are not at the place where we were to begin the 2019-20 school year, that area, but we are up from where we were last spring, which is a good sign. We'll have to see how that goes in the next few weeks here. I'm looking forward to seeing, like I said, the October 1 number, which we base a lot of our funding on for the school year. Right now, as far as managing what we have going on with our health services and our pandemic, not talking a lot about that right now, but just for the boards and the community's awareness, we are less than 1% of our students who are impacted with COVID right now. So we are managing that as well as we can. Our students are being responsible and staying home when they need to. Our health services is also doing a nice job encouraging families to stay home when they have symptoms. What we are seeing is that that's very distributed throughout our grade levels. So we don't have a cluster. We don't have anything right now to target at this very moment, which is positive. We are seeing families impacted. So when someone in a household gets it, we are seeing other family members become positive over the course of a few weeks. That's just been an anecdotal trend. We have not seen it in school yet, spreading throughout school, which is positive. Busing continues to be a little bit of a chessboard start of the school year with staffing and trying to get routes lined up. Our bus companies are not any better off than any other bus company in the state you might have read about. So we're not in any position where we're not able to transport students. It just means that we have to be creative at times. So I said it last time and I'll say it again. If you're thinking bus 6 is supposed to show up and a bus shows up with 3 on the front, and we find out that they're taking you to the right spot, then you have to be patient with us as best we can, because our bus companies are working through that as they do. And we have had a few times to adjust. We've had to adjust an activity time because the bus just wasn't available to leave the high school at the time we wanted it to. And so I don't think that students probably noticed any difference in that because it happened enough in advance. But Mr. Hedevar is working with our bus companies closely on that. And then just the final detail of this beginning of the school year is now students are ready to take our fall assessments. We've got some NWAs happening. We've got some pre-tests happening in our some of our upper level classes. They get ready to get into the trimester to see what they can do, what they learn, and what they know. So I'm looking forward to seeing that progress as the school year goes on. We've kind of used the mantra this year that it's okay to be where we are. It really is. It's just not okay to stay there. We got to keep moving forward. So you've heard me say this before. We're not going to lament a what if about where we could be, but we have to acknowledge that this is where we are and we're going to continue to get better. And our students are doing great. And it's fun to see them in the hallways and see the smiling faces, and everyone's been excited. And I was at Hartley the other day, and I've never been so excited about school lunch as a second grader that I was talking to that particular day. So it just feels positive to start the school year. We know that we're prepared to adjust as we need to as the school year goes on, but as of right now, our plan is staying very positive. Questions on that part?
All they do is
Okay, very good. The next piece is really kind of a, pass that on. It's just kind of an update on what we're doing with our strategic planning. We've been working really since last spring about preparing our strategic plan and taking it to the next level where it becomes more measurable. So we can report to you a little bit less about just what we're doing, but how we're doing, what the progress is. So what you have in front of you is really what our version of the district vision card to start the school year would be. And you have enough? I'll give you this one here.
Make it share.
Okay, very good. This is in your update tool electronically if you choose to look at it that way. So essentially what we've done is we've taken our strategic plan and then our operational plan, which you had a chance to see earlier this summer and spring, and then really develop some goals and measurements of how we're going to measure these things over the course of the next school year into going forward from there. So for example, in the area of student achievement, one of the areas on the world's best workforce is to increase kindergarten ratings. So we're looking at where we are right now, baseline of 83%, hoping to improve that to 90% by next year. Setting some really measurable goals that we can work with. As you see throughout the course of this document, there's some redundancies. There's some things that really, 2 or 3 of these focus areas are really measured by the same thing. And so that's going to help us with as we move into the continued growth of our strategic plan into the next 2 years, but then also what the next iteration of our strategic plan is. We may be able to condense some things and we're measuring really the same topic. There might be something that we notice isn't here with that. So what our department and building leaders are doing now with this is they're taking this vision card, this district vision card, and with their building leadership teams or departments, however they're choosing to do that, they're going to develop a building or department vision card. So the Hartley vision card or the building and grounds vision card. And that will be based within the envelope what we have going on here, but it will be working towards these goals directly for them. So those directors and principals can work with their staff to say, okay, which of these really focuses on Hartley? And they can work through those particular goals. What some departments might find now is that I'm having a hard time finding where I fit into this, in which case this will evolve to help create more areas of this, because we just, as this is the first time I've been through this exercise, there's a little bit of abstractness that we're working through. I don't really know what do we want this to look like. Well, we have to kind of go through a little bit to see what it's going to look like. And so our building leaders and department leaders are doing that right now. I'm looking forward to the next 3 to 6 months, because as I come back to you talking about my goals, you know, my first goal is to work on these vision cards. And I really hope to be able to say, we're moving towards this progress, and here's the data that shows me that we're doing this, why we're in the strategic plan. So I wanted this to be in your hands. I'm excited about this. Once the buildings have a chance to work through their building card or department cards, there might be even a spot where we go even deeper. So maybe Hartley has a vision card, but then 3rd grade has a card. Or the high school has a card, but then social studies has a card. It won't work everywhere, because in technology, the technology card is probably okay for that team, unless they want to divvy that out a little bit. So as I work with our leaders in the next 30 days on their one-on-one goals and their own personal growth goals, one of their tasks is to bring me their vision card that we can work through together and see how that's going. So I think it's going to be an excellent opportunity for us to really demonstrate growth and talk about how we're doing, you know, things are going. So it also takes some of the ambiguity and anxiousness out of the conversation. Oh, we didn't do very well. No, but we're in the progress mode. Okay, great. That sounds good. What we will add in 2022-23 will be a backwards line. like we want to better intervene here, so we're going the wrong direction. We don't have that right now. if we go that, if anything happens to go that way. And then these measures will, like it says here, 2021 data, we'll include that in as we get moving throughout the rest of the school year. I just wanted to bring that to you for the board to review and take a look at it. If you have questions about it, we can always visit more about this. But I'm excited about the evolution of taking our strategic plan from really high level into how is it actually going to impact our work with kids.
Where did you ever come up with the idea for vision cards?
Well, it was some of the leadership trainings that we've happened to do in previous districts, previous opportunities that I've had to work with some leadership training. That's when it comes to strategic plan development, this is usually part of the process. And as I moved into this position, this was really in the works to some degree. It just kind of got a little waylaid by our health crisis that we were working through. But this format is one that I've used previously, and I've learned from various trainings and coaching that I've had. And this seems to be the most, for me personally, this is the most clear way to do it. There's lots of different graphic organizers you could use. This seems to work for me.
And Cato had that, they showed their vision cards on Monday, and they were focusing from their equity conference that they had over there. They're working on things with trying to get different teachers into the school building with different ethnic backgrounds, things like that. So yeah, you can just use it for everything. It just puts everything in a fluid or in a nice area that you can read, and it's so fluid, it's living and breathing, and it can be modified. It's just really cool. It's a nice tool.
Yeah. It's baseline on your imply essentially where we're at now today.
Yes.
I like this.
Here, it's clear.
Yeah, it is. It's a good direction.
All right.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for your report this month. We'll move on. Ms. Beery.
All right, thank you for your time this evening. First, can you guys hear me okay? Oh, now I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, so if it's okay, I'm just gonna keep talking. If you have a question, maybe just raise your hand and then I'll pause if that works. Okay. So I, again, appreciate your patience as we are all learning. We're doing our best with sound and trying to get that to work. So again, thank you all for your patience, for you there, and as well as you listening online. Do have a few items for you this evening. First of all, we do not have, right now, we are not reporting on financial year to date versus prior year. The reason for that to start off the year is right now we're still in our audit process. So we're still closing our audit year from the 2021 school year and then moving into the 21-22 school year. There's a lot of entries that basically cross years, and it doesn't look as clean as it should. Everything is correct, but with the entries that we need to make, the reports are not as clear to somebody that's maybe not as close to school finance. So my hope is by October, we'll be able to start sharing those reports with you, and you'll see some really clean information of current year versus prior year. So I just want to let you know that we're still working through that audit process. That's going very well, but our auditors aren't on site until the middle of October. So there's still a lot of in between right now, and we're working through that. Another thing Mr. Hudspeth had mentioned earlier is we are looking at enrollment now, and now is that time where we're taking those snapshots. It's a day and a month. And so the report that you're looking at is a little closer to the start of the school year. So we do know that there was some fluctuations. As Mr. Hudspeth had mentioned, we're settling into that enrollment now. By looking at where we are starting higher than where we ended. So that is definitely a positive, and it's right in line with where we thought or what we had projected our budget numbers to be based upon. So again, hopefully we're being conservative at this point, and we'll figure out how that natural flow will move through the rest of the year. And we'll continue to update you on a monthly basis on what that enrollment count is. Okay. And I guess along the same lines with enrollment, some news that we received within the last couple of weeks, we'll say the governor of the state of Minnesota is recognizing that fiscal year 21 was a hard enrollment year for a lot of school districts. And even though it was not approved with the legislative session, so one of the things on the table was looking at what that declining enrollment was from our fiscal 20 year to our fiscal 21 year. There was a proposal on the table to try to address maybe a higher increase to help offset that aid loss because of the loss of students. That didn't happen at the legislative level, but the governor did take a look at that. And part of the federal funds moving forward is to address a little bit of that. So there's going to be a grant available. It will be tied to federal funding, and it will be applicable to fiscal year 22. Unfortunately, it's not going to be applicable to the current year that we're auditing. But there will be a little bit of federal revenue to help offset that larger decline of loss of student enrollment for all districts across the state. So they will be looking at our year 21 students versus our year 20 students and taking that number into account, but it won't be applicable to until the 21-22 school year, which we're currently in. So that will be, for us, it's around, I'll say anywhere between $100,000 and $140,000. Again, it is a grant process. They have made it clear it's not revenue replacement, so there will be strings attached to it and assurances that we need to adhere to. But again, it's just another opportunity for districts to try to help stabilize their fund balances as well as their fiscal responsibility. So just some news there for you. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was a little bit regarding the levy that we've got proposed for this evening. So this is just in conjunction with the workshop that we had just a couple of weeks ago, really preparing you for the levy cycle. Normally what we do at this time of year is ask the school board to approve the maximum levy. This way it gives us as an entity to take a moment, really review the numbers, see if there's any changes. Ironically, there was a new report run today and actually changed our numbers from what the report that you're seeing. It was not significant. It was about $2,500. But again, it's just another example of things are constantly changing. And that's a reason why we ask school boards to approve the maximum, because it gives us flexibility to, like I said, look at those numbers, make sure the state has numbers that they feel comfortable with. And then when we come to December, we will approve an exact dollar amount. And it may be less than what we're approving now, or it may be the exact same, but it just gives us that time to really dig into it and then feel comfortable moving forward what will be best for the educational program as well as our community members. So I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions and see if I can hear them.
No questions.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Adita, do you want to start us off down there?
Sure. We met with the community ed, and community ed is doing very well. JNEST is running, and they are 5 days a week, enrollment, and they are very happy. They have back their building, this building, and all the activities for children are in place. Everything went online, the book, but if anybody needs to have a printout, they just need to stop by the office and they will print it for them. But everybody seems to be happy online, you can see what is out there. There are a lot of classes or opportunities for adults. They started to do, I think again, a couple, using the buses and go.
Trips.
Yes, trips. I think Paul was very happy, and everything's going well. They did a couple pre-screening sessions or days because they were behind. Last year they didn't do it for the little children, and they are catching up on that. That's the community ed, and I can let Julie to talk about negotiations.
Okay.
But it's a very interesting process, and we had 2 meetings, and I'm starting to learn a lot. Thank you to everybody.
Charlie.
I've been missing in action, so I'm not attending.
It's fine. I think you had a good excuse. Sounds like it was a good trip. You're making us all jealous, but Katie.
We had the DAC meeting, and it was nice how Mr. Hutmeyer had brought up how they want the teachers to be looking at how they're teaching to using the assessments, or
Yeah, so not just teaching to the test, but maybe teach how to take
a test. Yeah, be more purposeful in how you are taking it, so that kids are starting to see that it does mean something and how it's going to affect things down the road.
Yes, because we reviewed the MCA results.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we had a facilities meeting before this meeting, and just looking at where we want to go in the future, how we're going to be setting up the questions down the road for where we're looking at. So it's still preliminary. We're still fine tuning our path.
I believe we're going to talk a little bit more facilities at our October workshop, so that'll be good. So yeah, I attended the DAC also, and we did review the MCA results, and there'll be more detail on that when we do like the World's Best Workforce. So that'll be kind of a bigger, but everyone, I'm sure, and statewide, your standardized test scores are down. So Waseca is the same. So we're all a little disappointed, but the one thing that's interesting that I found really interesting is our participation rate was really high. I think like 90%.
Over 90%.
And the average statewide participation was 75 or something like that. It was a lot less. So it's not a real true picture because so many of our kids took it, but not all of the rest of the kids in the state took it. So it's kind of again, it's just one assessment. We do many. So, but they did talk about they're doing their fall assessments right now, and then they'll do winter assessments, and then we'll MCA again. So we'll get more details on that at the World's Best Workforce presentation later this year. And then negotiations is moving really well. We've made a lot of progress, particularly on language items, and then we'll probably be coming to the board pretty soon with specific number details. So, yeah. We have another meeting scheduled for next week, and I anticipate things will wrap up pretty soon. So I think we're making good progress. So I think that's all I have. So.
All right. So finance, we continue to look at facilities and the use of our ESSER funds. Also, ongoing projects and safe routes to school. We kind of had an update on that. And then facilities meeting, we also talked about the current projects and the progress that they're making. And then personnel committee, we talked about rate staffing. And then the Apex partnerships for small-sized high school classes. And earlier registration, innovation, and career pathways. So that's it.
What is the update on the safe route to school or the crosswalk? Is it coming
Well,
soon?
they were hoping by the end of this month, but
Okay.
I know that they're making progress. The lights went up today.
For that, yeah, for the cross, yeah, for
So
that.
hopefully that means they're next.
They'll move down the road.
Yeah.
yeah, and they are, the lights are flashing red now, correct? So that's nice.
No, I'm seeing people cross there, so I would just, maybe, maybe they're gonna cross there anyway, but it'd be nice to actually have a spot, so. Thank you.
I think everything's been covered.
Okay.
Good.
I was finance, but that was covered. We did go through policies, which are later, and I don't know that we didn't have anything significant in those, but it's been interesting to see them and understand where they come from. I did also go through the phase 3 training, which is from MSBA. Covered a lot of things about assessing where we each as individuals come from, what our strengths are, and how that fits in the rest of the board as a whole. Also talked about how good meetings are ran, and we saw lots of examples how they are not ran. So cheers to Julie for running good meetings.
Those are the funniest videos.
Yeah.
That's a fun training.
Yeah.
So it was good.
You should almost share some of those online. In place of, so people they can at least have a good audio. So, well, Eliza and Lindsay, do you guys have some things you want to share what's going on at the high school?
We had a student council meeting yesterday to discuss like homecoming week and our dress up days and stuff like that. But I think we're meeting again on Friday to do some more planning and get posters up for the dress up days and stuff. Our football team is 3-0 right now, and hopefully 4-0 tomorrow. We had our pregame meal a little bit ago, so I was a little late, but.
Yeah, and for band, we just had the classic here in Waseca, which it was a super cool experience. Finally getting to do it again because we missed out last year. And then this oh my goodness, this weekend, we're going to Rose Mountain Irondale. We have a doubleheader show this weekend, so that'll be really fun. Volleyball, we have a home game on Tuesday against Fairmont. So if you want to support our volleyball team, please come. And then the fall play just started rehearsals this week, and it's called Trap. And I think the dates are 18, 19, 20 November.
Okay.
It's the week after indoor. And then, yeah, we already mentioned our student council meeting. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's really good to be back in school and seeing everyone.
Good, thank you. You guys want to start us off with our board feedback? If you have anything.
Sure. I guess I would just like to thank everyone who worked with the Classic. It's really hard to list everyone, but I would especially like to thank Edna Burns and Mary and Jack Williams for all of the work that they put in. Pulling off that day is not an easy task, and they do an amazing job every year, and they make it so fun and such a good experience. So I'd like to thank everyone who helped with that.
I don't have a thank you, but I have a positive note, and Mr. Wendland has been showing up a couple of times, and I think he starts coming back teaching on Monday.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Good. Yeah, thank you.
I was gonna say the same thing about the classic that Lindsay said, that there's just so many people who volunteer and businesses that put their efforts and time into doing that. So it's very successful and it's very nice to have. So, thank you.
I made it a point this fall to try to get some athletic events that I don't normally get to. So in the last few weeks, I was able to get to a boys soccer match, a girls soccer match, and the volleyball team. I'm hoping to get to tennis next Monday. Hopefully I can get there. And it's been kind of neat to see. I know football usually is a pretty big deal here in Waseca, and I haven't been to a football game yet. It's kind of surprising, but it was really fun to watch soccer, both boys and girls, and volleyball. So yeah, something different, but something pretty neat too. So
I'm hoping I get to a volleyball game here too, so, yeah.
Very well done.
Thank you.
So mine is the football game, and it was nice to see Beth Bogan out there, and honorary captain, I think is what it was. Yeah. But all the funds that they raised, they passed buckets for donations for the cancer, and so good to see the boys win.
I was gonna mention the tackle cancer night for football also. I think it's cool that, I know we do it at something similar in the basketball season too. I think it's just really neat thing to get kids involved in causes like that, and particularly recognize teachers who are currently going through that.
It's really interesting. They raced the buckets across. I think our road did prove that.
We did, I think we won. We might have started early, but.
That was all I had.
Okay. I just want to say what a nice article it was with John Hanson on 9/11. That was a very well-written article, by the way, very cool. And it's that was a tough day. I remember I was working at Austin Mutual when that happened, and my brother-in-law got the last train out of Manhattan when he saw planes flying, and he's like, something's not right, and he just got out of there. I think the last big item for me would have been the Challenger explosion when I was in high school. So it's kind of neat to document history like that and get a teacher's perspective of when he was teaching and how it affected all those kids and how do you react and teach to that. So very cool, nice job.
He brings it up every year. He uses it.
Way to recognize our faithful reporter here in the audience tonight. Charlie.
Like I said, I was missing in action. I've been on the East Coast the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, toured a lot of places. Got to sleep. We slept on a sailboat in the Boston Harbor where the Boston Tea Party happened. It was really a cool experience. And walked the walk there that Paul Revere supposedly rode that night. Interesting, his first part of that trip was by boat. It was my boat across the bay before he rode the horse. So, and we did visit the 9/11 memorial yesterday. Got to see the Statue of Liberty again, how that was put together. So a lot of them did a lot of history. But, a lot was on the Revolutionary War and the chances them folks all took, because they would have died had they lost the Revolutionary War. So it's really interesting to see that perspective, how this country has evolved from the moments back then. So it was a great trip. We were in 12 different states for the last 2.5 plus the District of Columbia. So, but I understand the boys have won 3 games in a row, and so we're back here in Waseca now, ready to be back in the board chair here where I need to be. So anyhow, good to be back.
Good to have you back.
I would like to say thank you to our community, to the police and everybody who volunteered to make the parade successful, you know, the streets and everything, it was well organized and almost flawless. Yeah, and the second, you know, I want to thank you to our counselors, Mr. Marvin and Mrs. Just Meets. I work with Mr. Marvin and also Jessica and Rolly. They help, you know, the end of the summer and the beginning to work with PSCO classes and figure out schedule for the kids who had to switch and turn, and they were very busy and they did a great job again. Thank you.
All right, I think that is all for reports and feedback, and we can move on then to our action items. Can I get a motion for our gifts and donations?
So moved.
Second.
Would you guys like to approve it?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I move we approve the gifts and donations.
Okay.
And I said, and he just said.
You just went to a meeting.
I know, I should.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, very generous.
Yeah, really some neat things.
Thank you very much.
All right. There's no further discussion, then I will call for a vote. And since this is a resolution, that is a roll call. When I call your name, just say yes or no, or aye or nay, whichever one. Grant.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Pat.
Yes.
Julie is yes. Katie.
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes.
And Adita.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Can I get a motion? Actually, before we get to item B, I'm going to have Mr. Husband explain this.
Yeah, I just want to clarify a couple quick things as part of this resolution before the board considers this action. So to the west of our practice fields out there near the junior senior high, we do have some land. It's kind of labeled as the school nature site out there to the west. And over the last several years, we haven't really utilized that land as opportunistically as we could. And so with the partnership of Clint Blink and his new role, kind of found out about some opportunities along with Ms. Zippel and Mr. Abel, who feel like they can work some of that land into their agri-science and science classes and have the opportunity to get students outside and engaged. And so we're looking forward to doing that. We wouldn't need a resolution to do that. Okay, we own the land, we can do what we want with it in that nature. The Department of Natural Resources in the state of Minnesota has a school forest program that allows them to come in and help support us in whatever way we want them to help meet those needs. So it could be we can help work with them to develop the long-term stewardship plan of the forest. They could come in and help us with some Arbor Month tree seedlings if we wanted, just some examples that are on here. Advise on site management, things that we can do. In order to be approved for that particular work with the DNR, what the state and the DNR asked us to do is to pass this resolution, just saying that we as a board are designating this land for that purpose. It doesn't relinquish any decision-making control. It doesn't mean that we're locked into anything. We could decide a year from now to change that. But for right now, just get similar to be quite honest, similar to the resolution that we made with regards to our fall plan, where that was more about making it public what we're doing versus changing anything, because it was really to be the same current practice. So what this does is basically say, this is what we're hoping to use this land for right now, which then makes us eligible for the DNR's additional support if we should want it. But again, as I mentioned, Ms. Zippel, Mr. Abel, and any other staff who wants to be part of that process, we do it as they see fit, which may not include any work with the DNR, or it may. But then we've managed to support this purpose. What the other option that we can do with this is we would potentially have a committee of maybe some board members that might be on it, as well as some community members to help say, what do we want this to look like, and advise us down the road for that. And again, the process begins with the board saying, yeah, we should consider that for right now. So there's still decisions to be made, but this is the first step. So hopefully that's helpful to help put that in context.
I think what's kind of interesting about this for me is when my son was a scout and he became an Eagle Scout, and his project to become an Eagle Scout was to work in this area and to clear some path and build some bridges. And I won't tell you how long ago that was, but it was quite a while ago. So, yeah, it's been kind of sitting there for a long time, not really being utilized very well.
Brian Morris did it as his Eagle project, to
Yeah.
clean it up, then after your
I
son did
believe
it.
you did benches too, right?
I'm not,
I believe there was that Levi.
Levi has a bench.
Yeah.
At the school. So,
But no, and well, Ms. Dibble had to leave obviously, but she said she just went to a conference or a seminar up in Forest Lake where they have a really strong environmental science program. And I'm like, there's just so many possibilities, and it sounds like we have more possibilities by passing this resolution than if we just left it as it was. So I think that's kind of cool.
Right, right. It doesn't really, again, it doesn't hinder our opportunity to do whatever we like, but it does open up an extra door in that direction if we choose to walk through it.
it's really exciting.
Well, if anyone would like to make a motion, I think you also need to read the resolution. So whoever would like to do that.
We have the resolution here.
You got it? Yes. Charlie would like
But
to.
I'd like to, how come, I guess I'm just wondering, why is that parcel divided into two different sections? Like you've got a 19.96 acre plus a 50.04 acres. So what can you tell us about that?
I guess one's in section 6 and one's in section 7. So they have to probably link it up.
Is that the issue?
Yeah, you're probably, yeah, that would be my guess, breaking up because it's a three different parts of the section. But I can, on this website, which Clint Link has developed, they've got it divided, it's got a picture of it on there. I didn't print that page, I apologize. You're probably right.
But it's one physical piece, not
Correct.
two distinct.
It must just be how it's plotted.
Must be.
It's in two different townships, that's why.
Oh, okay.
No,
Section, well, no, it's
It's just in
two different sections.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's in two sections. Okay. 107, North, section 6. Two sections. Okay, I guess when this came about, being in the farming ag community, I'm always a little nervous whenever we start dealing with the DNR. Things change sometimes, and they're not always for the betterment of people involved with it. And that's my hesitation on this proposal, is that deal with the DNR, it's just sometimes it gets difficult.
But this does not give the DNR any control of this land.
It doesn't.
No.
No. Nor does it commit us to actually working with them at this time.
So it's strictly as far as advising.
So we still retain everything about the land that we did before.
Because someday, if we added an additional school in that area, some other state entity could come along and say, well, for this many students, you gotta have this much, we gotta have this much land for playgrounds and you want another soccer field out there, or you gotta move a baseball diamond or something like that, Then things get a little bit more difficult when dealing.
Yeah, we're not committed to anything for any period of time by doing this.
So we could rescind this a month from now if you
We
wanted to.
could.
Okay.
Any other discussion, or are we ready to make a motion? And we can discuss more.
You want me to read it?
Of course I do.
Okay, go.
I think you can read it, and then at the bottom, this is, your motion is reading the resolution, then we'll get us.
Okay. Resolution relating to the partnership with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, whereas Independent School District number 829 would like to pursue educational partnership opportunities with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources utilizing Independent School District 829 property. Now therefore be it resolved, the School Board of Independent School District number 829 approves the establishment and maintenance of the Waseca Junior and Senior High School outdoor classroom comprising of said parcel. The south 330 feet of the south half of the southeast quarter, section 6, township 107 north, range 22 west, containing 19.96 acres, more or less, and the north 907.64 feet of the north half of the northeast quarter, section 7, township 107 north, range 22 west, lying east of the railroad, which is no longer there, in case anybody hasn't noticed. Containing 50.04 acres more or less. This is subject to highway easements, railroad right-of-way, and supports the enrollment of said school, forest, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources School Forest Program for educational purposes.
That is your motion.
That's my motion.
Second.
We have a first
I'm not
and a
gonna say
second.
it again.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Do we have any classes already that are utilizing this space, or is this something that's, well,
Not that I'm aware of.
okay,
I can't speak that confidently.
okay. There's no further discussion, then I'll call for a vote, and again, this is a roll call. Grant,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
I am yes. Katie? Yes. Charlie?
Hesitant, yes.
Adita?
Yes.
All right, motion carries unanimous. All right, moving on. Can I get a motion for item C?
I make a motion to approve 2021 fall lane change list as presented.
Second.
First and a second and a third. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Can I get a motion for item D?
Make a motion to approve the certified maximum table 2022.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion or questions?
Just to clarify, is it our December meeting, we actually approved the exact amount?
Yes.
Correct.
No further discussion, I will call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Can I get a motion for item E?
So move. Second.
This is for the, to approve the October National FFA Convention trip for Waseca FFA. Any further discussion?
Great opportunity.
All right. I will call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Can I get a motion for item F?
I'll make a motion to approve the reviewed policies that were reviewed at the House Committee. That's 407, 408, 409, 410, 412, 416, and 417, covering right to know, subpoena, family medical leave, drug testing, and chemical use, etc.
First, can I get a second?
I'll make this second.
First and a second. Any discussion? All I was thinking was, hope we never need to use some of these policies, but it's good that they're there. Yeah. All right, nothing further. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. And that brings us to the end of our action items. Moving on to upcoming items and reminders. Homecoming is the week of October 4th, so I didn't see what the dress-up days are and all that fun stuff. Are you planning a dance and everything?
Yeah, the dance will be after coronation on Thursday.
Okay. Yeah. Our next work session is Thursday, October 7th, 2021. And then our next regular meeting is Thursday, October 28th. And please note that this is the fourth Thursday because we pushed it back a week due to MEA. So, any other things to discuss or remind us about? Can I get a motion then to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming.